Bibimbap, bulgogi, fried chicken. Which K-food comes to mind first? Today, we want to talk about the latest K-food trend in the U.S., as well as a product that's been enjoying a surge in exports to the country. For that, we are now connected with Robert Koo, managing editor of Foundations and Futures Asian, American, and Pacific Islander Multimedia Textbook, which is a major book project at the UCLA Asian American Studies Center. Hello, Mr. Koo.
Hello, Mr. Koo.
Hello, it's good to be back.
Great to have you back on the show. So let's talk about K-food in the U.S. Now, K-food exports to the U.S. last year amounted to $1.59 billion, making the U.S. the top export destination for Korean food items. Mr. Koo, do you feel this rising interest around you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, the fact that I live in LA, in California, makes this especially apparent because LA Koreatown is widely acknowledged as the so-called mothership of the Korean diaspora. So whatever happens Korea-wide in the States usually happens first here in LA. Now, while other cities and towns across the US haven't experienced the increased visibility of Korean food on the level of California, the overall rise in K-food popularity across the country has been quite remarkable indeed. I just found a recent study that it showed that along with Mexican food restaurants, Korean restaurants are now the most competitive food business in the state of California. As you know, California is the fourth largest economy in the world. And so this is very significant. Since 2018, it's estimated that nearly 500 new Korean restaurants have opened in the US. And the number of Korean restaurants nationwide has increased by 10% just this past year alone. In the big cities like LA, San Francisco, New York, there was a 36% increase. And interestingly, there's currently about 400 Korean fried chicken establishments across the country, which is a 22% increase just this year alone. More interestingly, there are at least 5 different chains that specialize in Korean corn dogs. And currently there's about 250 locations across the country, which is a 52% increase from last year. In 2019, there were no Korean corn dog restaurants in the US, so this is all very new. So these are some, I think, indications of the rising popularity of newer Korean foods.
Wow, very impressive and very impressive figures we're seeing here. Now, we're going to look a little bit at a specific item. By item, Korea's instant noodles or Ramyeon is the #1 K-food export to the U.S. right now. Why do you think we're seeing this trend? I mean, what's unique about Korea's instant noodles Ramyeon?
Yeah, although I don't think this is a new trend. I think Korean ramen has been popular in the U.S. for a long time. Nongshim's Shin Ramen has been incredibly popular in the U.S. for the past several years. I believe Shin Black is one of the most popular here in the States. Although it costs about 6 times more than a Japanese brand such as Nissin, consumers are willing to pay more for what they consider to be higher quality Korean brands of instant ramen. And the main difference between, I think, Korean and Japanese ramen is that while Japanese ramen main selling point is umami, or that fifth taste. For Koreans, I think it's spiciness, which is why bulldog has soared in popularity and has overtaken Shin as the bestseller in the US, or at least that's what I read somewhere. Sales of bulldog in the US increased by more than 125% from 2023 to 2024 alone. In fact, due to bulldog's recent global popularity, other Korean brands such as Nongshim and Ottogi have introduced spicier versions of their brands to try to compete with bulldog, which, as you know, is marketed by Samyang Foods, which coincidentally was the very first Korean company to have marketed instant ramen back in 1961.
Wow. So what are some of other rising, let's call them K-food stars in the US right now? I mean, we've got Korean syrups or chong, or we've got K-sauces, soy sauce, eggs. A very popular rapper by the name of Cardi B, she made her own marinated soy sauce eggs, pork belly or samgyeopsal, or even some of my favorites, gukbap. What are some of the rising stars or the K-food stars there in the US at the moment?
Yeah, certainly all those things you mentioned are rising in popularity. For me, one category of Korean food in Korea rises to the top in terms of its being suddenly popular in ways that I didn't imagine. And these are Korean cafes, bakeries, and dessert places. Things like cold brew coffee, dalgona coffees, patbingsu, hot dog. These are now very much, common in the U.S. And not only because of Paris baguette or Paris baguette, which seems to have a new location open every day, but also smaller independent shops. Just last month, one of South Korea's most popular dessert Cafe Nodded, I've never been, but I'm looking forward to going to that, opened in LA, not in Koreatown, but in Century City, which is a high-end shopping mall. Other Korean chains that specialize in coffees and desserts to open in LA recently are Damo Tea House, Haru Cake, Series A Coffee, Camel Coffee, and this is now a rising trend. Additionally, I think alcohol is another area that has shown significant rise in popularity. Certainly soju is way up there. But makgeolli, I think, is making an incredible, it's making soju run for its money because makgeolli is something that I think a lot of people consider to be smaller scale. You can make it at home. You can enjoy different, it's almost like wine for many people.
Right.
Also, non-alcoholic beverage drinks as well, banana milk, barley tea. And lastly, I would say really high-end, like Michelin star restaurants are on the rise. And this coincides with, of course, Netflix's culinary class wars. In New York, you have a number of these restaurants, Atomic, Chungshik, etc. In LA, recently you had Yangban and Baru. In DC, you have a place called Anju. I can go on and on. And so these are some of the, I think, other areas of Korean food that I think is on the rise here in the US.
So it's really interesting to see it's not just the K-food dishes now, but we have like desserts and alcoholic beverages as well, seeing that popularity rise. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about dictionaries now, because we have these Korean words in dictionaries, Korean foods like kimbap, jjigae, tteokbokki, and quite recently even dalgona, because of Squid Game, has been added to Oxford Dictionary. So, Mr. Koo, which Korean food items do you think really deserve to be in English or global dictionaries?
Yeah, I think bibimbap should be in there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it pop up sometime soon. I think mandu can certainly be in there because it's very widely understood to be a Korean form of dumplings. Naengmyeon, I think it's on the rise as well. And certainly jjajangmyeon. I was born in Incheon, so jjajangmyeon is always close to my heart. So I would say jjajangmyeon should be there, along with gochujang, soju, makgeolli. I think these are things that are inevitable in terms of one day appearing in the Oxford English Dictionary, just like mukbang did in 2021, which is surprising. But if you remember, just 5 years ago, mukbang was the biggest thing that's Korean associated that became so popular here in the States and elsewhere.
So many words are being added these days, Korean words in Oxford Dictionary and other dictionaries. It's almost hard to keep track how many Korean words we're seeing appearing these days. It's very impressive, I have to say.
It is very impressive. And I mean, that means it's only getting more and more and more popular as we go through the years. So that brings me to my next question. Which K-food do you believe could become the next big hit in the US, do you think?
What's left? I don't know what's left because I think everything that is already popular among Koreans is already well known here. And that's because of the power of the Korean wave of Hallyu. I would say that K-culture in general will determine where the new interest in Korean food goes. Because it's impossible to talk about the past, present, and future of K-food in the US or elsewhere without first understanding what's happening in K-pop, K-dramas, K-film, K-fashion, and so forth. Also, I think social media platforms, especially TikTok and Instagram, which I think reaches more people today, or young people at least, than traditional media when it comes to food and other cultural trends. And so I would say that let's wait and see. But what's left? I don't know what's left.
Well, Mr. Koo, as a culture expert, we also want to ask you, could you share some advice for our global viewers of how, in the best way, you can enjoy K-food? Any recommendations?
Well, I'm not sure such advice is actually needed, since it seems like plenty of people around the world are already discovering how amazing Korean food is. But for those who are new to K-food, I would recommend that they ride the Korean wave and watch K-dramas, such as the newly airing Tastefully Yours on Netflix. Of course, there is the Culinary Class Wars, also on Netflix. And there's so many other programs, Korean programs, a lot of them focus on foods that will give everyone plenty of ideas of how to enjoy Korean food. And also, since Baek Jung-won is sort of canceled for the moment, I would recommend people watch my favorite celebrity food star in Korea right now is Roo Soo-young, and also my favorite mukbang star, Soo-young. So I would recommend people watch Roo Soo-young and Soo-young for ideas about what great Korean food they can try next.
All right, that shows again how important it is to watch K-contents to really know the real, authentic way how Koreans enjoy Korean food.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much for connecting with us today, Mr. Gu, and also for the great advice as well. And I think it's fascinating to see how the American palate is being satisfied with such a wide range of K-food these days. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Koo.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Walter. And we're going to see you back here soon.
We'll see you very soon.